Aspas is considered one of the greatest players of all time. He placed top 3 at Champs for 3 consecutive years with 3 different rosters, and is the only player who has been able to do so. Despite this, Aspas has been getting some flack recently, being called a baiter.
I'm a fucking Aspas hater, man. I think genuinely listen, he's a great player, but I think this guy, he's found out the formula for the VLR rating, knows that if you die less, you get rated higher, and all the stat Stevens have been gassing this guy up.
He's a good player, but his stats make him out look better than he is. Does that make sense? He's definitely a beta.
Now, this is a serious accusation, because it's generally understood to be a bad thing for duelist players like him. So in this video, we're going to uncover the truth behind this accusation once and for all. We'll be taking a deep dive into his stats, playstyle, and role, which has ultimately evolved over all the different metas. Is Aspas, one of the greatest duelists to ever touch the game, really a baiter? What does it even mean to be a baiter, and how does it truly affect his team's ability to win? To start investigating Aspas's baiting tendencies, we should start with some basic first engagement stats from each of Aspas's teams over the years. Since another big criticism for him is that he's only dominant regionally and not internationally, all these statistics and research I use will be pulled from his Champs performances each year. So keep in mind that we're only looking at his performances on the biggest international stage to remove biases from his regional dominance. Back in 2022 when Loud won it all, Aspas had the largest proportion of first engagements taken for his team, but not by much, as Sadhak was clearly an aggressive secondary entry that helped him open up rounds. Taking 29.5% of all first engagements definitely implies that you were a hard entry for your team. This remains similar in 2023, where Aspas was still taking the vast majority of first engagements during Loud's Champs run. Kaunzin and Sadhak shared the role of secondary entry this year, but Aspas was still a clear hard entry for the team. 2023 Aspas was a demon for Loud, and he really became a one-man army in many situations, but Loud did not ultimately win Champs and placed 3rd that year. Everything seemed to change in 2024 when Aspas joined Lev. Aspas didn't even have the highest number of first engagements for Lev, and it was actually Tex who had the most first engagements despite playing Sentinel for most of their matches. Aspas has always played Duelist on every single roster, but you can see that each year his specific job on each team has been slightly different, and on Lev, he was playing less of that hard entry role we used to see from him back on Loud. Baiting implies that you aren't going in as the Duelist, so if we take these stats at face value, you could say that Aspas wasn't a baiter in 2022 and 2023, but became a baiter in 2024 when his first engagements were much lower. However, stats never tell the entire story. Let's take a closer look at his evolving playstyle over the years to understand what really happened. On Loud, Aspas would often be seen dashing straight out onto sites and hard entering for them. During this time, Loud would be comfortable running full set executes right off the rip, and this would support Aspas's hard entry routes.
They try to bait them in though, almost over-aggressing on it, trying to encourage his hit to come in with several players on the site. However, Aspas might work towards Marv, but he's taking a little bit of chip damage here. He's actually in the blender, but still standing. How?
Gets a ping. They know. They know this is a B hit, and they have the stack, Doug.
Oh, it's actually Aspas who goes aggressive. No way.
Part of the reason why Aspas has more first engagements in the past is simply because of how the meta was back then. Instant rushes used to be way more popular, and stacking utility for a single duelist to rush in was much more effective. This is made most apparent when we look at how the average round time has changed over the years. You can see that the average round time has gone up a couple seconds each year, starting at around 77.6 seconds in 2022, and now getting to around 81.9 seconds in 2024. There are a couple reasons for this, like newer agents having better utility than before, people learning how to hold sites down better, and everyone getting smarter with how they use their utility. And since rounds are getting longer and longer, this might not always be set up for a duelist to go in first. Early on in competitive Valorant, we were used to seeing the best duelists always have the most first engagements by far, but as the game and meta evolved, this wasn't always the case for a team to be successful. Nowadays, pro teams have many different tactical goals throughout a round to fight for map control, and this is going to result in fewer and fewer scenarios where a duelist is just closing the gap straight from the barrier to the site. The evolution of the meta means that it's only natural for Aspas's first engagement numbers to have dropped slightly. But did his playstyle really change so drastically from Loud to Lev? When we look back at his time on Loud, we would already see them running setups where Aspas was put in lurky positions. In this match against EG, Aspas was only able to get 2 first bloods on attack, while Les got 4. If we take a closer look at this match, we can see that Aspas's main job in every default was to threaten that control of hookah. On pistol round, he solos control of hookah while his team takes control of long.
He's got a sheriff, he doesn't care about util.
I mean, he might not end up really being the difference maker. It may end up being people like Les and Aspas.
In this position, Sadak calls for the TP back to Showers, but obviously Aspas has no easy way to connect with this play. You can see him start moving back towards A, but he's way too far to actually help with the entry. In this moment, Aspas realizes that the Sky Flash didn't clear him in hookah, so instead of trying to run A, he makes a lurk play reading the flank attempt off the misguided info. Getting this kill helps win the round just as much as his team's entry on A, as it completely opens up B for the rotate back through the teleporter and causes a desperate attempt from EG to chase. In the context of this round, Aspas was explicitly set up to play a lurky position by his IGL, and he never had a good opportunity to entry. Instead, he knew exactly how to use his own position and his team's pressure to make a round-winning play. During his defaulting in hookah, you can really see the details in Aspas's utility usage, which shows why he's so strong in these spots to begin with. Here's another round, Aspas is taking control of hookah again. This time he works up to the corner instead of sending the instant boombot. This is because he knows that EG is on an eco and he has the advantage of contacting up a bit closer. He first sends the boombot to clear the left and then nades the right to clear behind the box. Now 99% of duelists in this position would just peek, and Calm thinks he's dodged all the utility. But Aspas is diligent and knows there's one blind spot left. He uses his satchel to peek the close corner, and Calm's shorty play is completely denied. Aspas was already thriving in these lurky positions long before his time on Lev, because even if he's playing a bit baity in these rounds, this was a consequence of the strategies that his IGL called and was simply the ideal way to play the map in this game. Sadak would have set him and the entire team up for failure if he just forced Aspas to rush in over and over by himself without a good tactical setup. And it's not because Aspas is bad at entering, it's because it's just not the right strategy to call. Overall, it's becoming more and more important for any duelist to be multifaceted and find impact from a variety of positions rather than only being good at rushing straight in. Even last year's most dominant hard entry players like Zekken or Kong Kong had many rounds and games where they were explicitly set up to play out more lurky positions for the benefit of their team.